Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. How's everyone this morning?
Doing good.
Welcome to the first session. So, my name is John Silsby. I've got some friends of mine helping me with the session. As you can see on the board, the name of the session is Red Dragon Pride. Stay connected through the Cortland College Alumni Association, which if you're alumni or a student, you're a member right now, and if you're a student, you'll be a member as soon as you graduate. The two people I have helping me, one is Aaron, who you can see on the screen there, Aaron Bolin. Has worked for the college now for 16, 17 years, has held many different capacities. And currently, Aaron is the executive director of both the Alumni Association and the Office of Alumni Engagement. Also joining me is Jim Longy. Jim is a relatively new member of the Alumni Association Board. Jim graduated from Cortland in 1989 with a sociology and criminology degree. He also has an MBA from Boston University. Jim spent 20 years in the Marines, and currently he works for AT&T in the business management account division. John Silsby being the last speaker and being the one that's speaking right now, I have the privilege of being a 51-year graduate of Cortland, and my career essentially was in Parks and Recreation for 41 of those years, and I've been retired now for 9 years. Currently, I'm the treasurer of the Alumni Association Board and also the chairman of the Finance Audit Committee. Jim is my vice chair, and what we wanted to do this morning was really share some information about the Alumni Association with alumni and students that are with us. Aaron, can you go to the next slide, please? I'm sure most of you know what that picture is there, but that's Racket Lake, that's Antlers, and actually one of the places that the Alumni Association holds an annual retreat when we're not dealing with a pandemic is at Racket Lake, is at Antlers, and what we wish we were there right now. This morning's program, an overview of it, we're going to cover 3 areas. The first one will be, we're going to give you some background information, in-depth information on the Cortland College Alumni Association, how it's structured, what its mission is, how we've been working on a emphasis on diversity, equity, and inclusion. We'd like you to find a little bit more about how it's structured in the board. Second thing we're going to be doing is sharing some examples of events and programs. For example, Alumni Reunion each year is one of the events, and certainly Cortaca Jug is another. And finally, we're going to give you a few ways that you can get involved if you're interested. You can join the board, obviously, but there's many other things that you can do. Next slide, please. First section, we're going to kind of give you some background on the Cortland College Alumni Association. Next slide, please. This is the mission of the Alumni Association. Our primary goal is engaging alumni with the campus, maintaining a long-term relationship. The board is a past, present, and future tech board. We have members on the board graduated in the 60s. We have other members that recently graduated from the college, and we like to foster relationships between alumni as well as between the college and alumni. The association provides a lot of programs which allows you to do that type of engagement, and the more we can engage, the more we feel we're fulfilling our mission. On to the next slide, and I will ask Jim to take it from here for a while.
Thanks, John.
Greetings from Manassas, Virginia. As John said, I'm a proud 89 alumnus. It's an honor to be presenting in front of you all. And I think the bottom line is this board, albeit I'm new, is really your board. It's your Alumni Association. Some of these, superlatives, as I like to call them on the slide, they were new to me over the last year. 82,000, graduates of SUNY Cortland, and that's who we represent. When it comes to the board and how we function, especially a year ago when I was looking into this, I wanted to know, what would the commitments be and all, and they talk about the second bullet there. There's 3 in-person meetings and one is up at Racket Lake, which that's not such a bad spot to go. So that's nice. You have committees, and we'll talk about the committees a little bit. I think you're going to find that our 9 committees really touch just about every facet that you would think an alumni board, an alumni, association would be engaged in. So, if your fancy isn't tickled right now, maybe in 5 years, 10 years, you might want to look into this. I think it's been a wonderful experience for myself in the first year and a half. It's really, connected me back to Cortland. And, again, if that's my thing right now, maybe it'll be your thing today or tomorrow. But hopefully always Cortland. We do have committee meetings year round. It depends on the committee chair. That schedule, of course, there's some people who have a lot of time, a lot of cycles to give. Other people are working some pretty long days. Those committee chairs are kind of charged with, making it work for the whole committee. Lots of good events. Go Cortaca last year. This year, a little bit of virtual, right? We recognize alumni. There's a lot of good folks, that are brothers and sisters who've done great things that we like to recognize. That's a very rewarding aspect of the board. And then your alumni house, the Lynn Parks alumni house that right there on Tompkins. So that's kind of a snapshot of what the board is involved in. So next, and by the way, any questions, just chime in. Next slide, please. Commitment to diversity. There's no doubt in my mind that this board is committed to diversity. What is diversity? Sure, you can read that, and I will tell you, I think our board efforts go way beyond anything that's in writing. We're looking at the traditional diversity of race, of gender. I think age. What year, on the line today, you've got Aaron younger, me and John a little bit older. And so you look at the different alumni, year groups, and, we're trying to do that blend, and it's an ever evolving commitment. So I think you'd be proud of your board and what we're trying to do, what we have accomplished, and pretty exciting. Any questions on diversity? Okay, next slide, please. So the board makeup, probably the biggest board I've ever sat on, 32 members. You can see ranging from the Civil War to, 1963 to 2022. A whole bunch of, different clubs, majors, groups represented. So it's pretty neat. I'd say the most dominant, just my observation, is education, but doesn't that reflect what Cortland really has as a major piece of the pie? So that's to be expected. Look across the country. I don't know if I'm the furthest away, but I know there's been people as far away as Florida. Again, I think I've talked about how we're always striving to evolve and improve. Let's see. Any questions on this? Of course, we've got active board members, we've got retired board members, and committee members. That's our board makeup. Any questions? Next slide, please. And by the way, I love questions. Please ask questions. I hate one-way roads. I always go the wrong way. So please, if you have anything to ask, I love a good question.
I did mute folks, so feel free to just unmute and chime in. We're pretty casual here. I just did that for background noise.
Yeah, and at least ask me a question because I am the newest member, so at least stump the new guy, right? So these are our board committees, and again, I think it touches anything. At least I believe it touches anything that I've ever kind of thought an alumni board would be, trying to do for a college and for its alumni. You have an executive board. Okay, that's led by our president. Those are the senior folks who basically provide guidance to the board of directors. You've got the alumni house, Parks Alumni House. So that in itself, you may not realize what it takes to run that hotel, that bed and breakfast. It's a lot, and that's why it has its own committee. Alumni Admit, that touched my heart. I've always tried to find folks for Cortland. I actually worked in the admissions office as a student, I think my sophomore through senior years. And Alumni Admit is a wonderful program for you. Okay, when alumni discover folks and you write a letter, that person may, it may not just, could be helped by your letter if it's that close or even that close. If there's something special you see in that person, you write a letter, and every one of your letters are reviewed, okay, by the college and passed on to the board for review. And it's very powerful. I would dare say your letter is as powerful as the football coach saying that running back I want. And I'm not kidding you. That's how it was explained to me. And it's a very powerful system we have set up, and it's for you. Discover that person that may have that special story, that special condition. I want you to remember that the Alumni Admit Committee is there trying to find those special kids that are going to be ambassadors for Cortland. 4, you have programming. That's the party planners in my eyes. Those are the people who pull off all the big events, and that's probably what I thought the Alumni Board was, all about. The Alumni Association was all about was getting fundraisers and people together and reminiscing and just experiencing Cortland again. That programming committee is that's where it all comes together. Any questions on the first 4? Okay, hey, the next slide shows 5 through 8, alumni from day one. That committee focuses on the student that just checked in day one as a freshman and throughout, and basically exposing them to the Alumni Association. Number 6, again, I kind of touched on it, but it's the awards and scholarships, recognition of our alumni and what they've done. It's most impressive. And rewarding to recognize folks. Diversity, equity, and inclusion got its own committee, and it kind of shows the focus that your board of directors has. Finance and audit. If you haven't learned it already, right? It all comes down to who pulls the financial strings and the money trail. So the finance and audit committee make sure that the Alumni Association is solvent, and that we're committing our funds to the legal spots. And then last but not least, the next slide, please. Nominations and bylaws. Just kind of think policy, making sure that we're doing everything in conjunction with the school's guidance, our own bylaws, legal and such. So just to give you an idea, I'm joined with John here. I'm on the finance committee as his deputy, and I'm also on the Alumni Admit committee. And again, it's been really fun. So I've enjoyed it, and I hope one day you'll either look into that or you'll just come to one of our our sessions, one of our events. And I think that's what I have for me. And I'll turn it over to Aaron, who's going to talk about masked and unmasked. How apropos, Aaron.
Well, I wanted to just thank everybody for joining us bright and early at the first session. So as John and Jim shared, if you kind of boil down what the Alumni Association is about, we're trying to create lifelong relationships with our alumni to help the college in its mission. And in doing that, we look for three gifts: time, talent, and treasure. So the lifelong relationship part is really when we talk about our events. That's how we get to know people. You know, this in itself, I'll get to meet some great people. We met John through the rec conference, and then kind of stole him. No, he does everything. That's also why the Parks Alumni House is so critical for us, because I think we're very fortunate. Unlike a lot of alumni associations, we're literally in the big moments of our alumni lives. So there's weddings hosted there, baby showers. We have our reunion there. So we really get to know folks really, really well. And then what we do with that information, as I mentioned before, we look for gifts of time, talent, and treasure. Now, everybody thinks about the treasure part. They say, oh, you know, you're looking for money. 100%. Every department, every place on campus always could benefit from more finances. However, we have a separate organization, the Cortland College Foundation, that's their primary role. So really the association focuses on the time and talent part. So what that looks like for us is, can we get alums volunteering? We have people, you know, in a traditional year at the Transformation Conference, you might be greeted by a friendly face that's an alum directing you where to go. This conference itself, John and Jim volunteer their time to be here, to provide their expertise. And then we look at talent. So talent is predominantly, I would say, it's our alumni sharing their career knowledge with our students. That's what students thirst for the most, but they also sometimes provide lived experience information and share how they've kind of navigated being a person maybe from an underrepresented identity. So there's a variety of ways, and I truly believe that every alum has something that can help Cortland, and every student could benefit from alumni support. So I'm tasked with going through kind of what our programs, just a brief overview of a few things that we do and what that looked like in a pre-pandemic environment and what it looked like now. So the mask and unmasked part. So Cortaca is a huge tradition for us. It is a fantastic way for us to get to know a lot of alumni. So on the unmasked side, if you haven't heard, we broke the D3 football attendance record last year. We hosted at MetLife Stadium, which was phenomenal. And there are my friends that bought Red Dragon onesies that we took a lot of pictures of, but people just had a phenomenal time. We handed out 5,000 giveaways. We know we touched even more folks than that. It was the biggest event we've ever had from an alumni perspective. This year, a little bit different, not even a football game being offered. So what we decided to do is we took clips, thanks to our sport information director, who's amazing. He had clips of some of the best Cortaca moments that have ever happened. And we had alums that were there, predominantly players, share their experiences. So we're going to live stream that on November 14th. And so far, we're just under 200 participants. So even though, again, situation's a little different this year, we've adapted, and that's going to be kind of the common theme throughout my slides. Reunion is another big one for us. We typically get between 450 to 600 folks here on campus in the middle of July. Couldn't do that this year, so we pivoted to an all online experience, much like the rec conference pivoting. The picture I show is some of our social media contests, but we also had our president, Eric Bitterbaum, provide a college update. We did a virtual toast. We did a trivia night. We tried to offer something different for everybody and give them a whole week of experiences. Campus traditions. So we also, again, try to connect folks. Them being connected to Cortland obviously helps our long-term efforts. So on the left is our Red Dragon Pride Day. Typically there's a huge campus photo where we give out lots of red t-shirts and then have an ice cream party afterwards. You can see in the upper left, we were concerned about that year. That was last year because it was raining. Well, who knew that 2020 would be more of a challenge? So again, we pivoted. We decorated what we called the Dragon Wagons. You can see our fantastic golf carts on the right. That's our president, Eric Bitterbaum, and his wife, Ellen Howard Burton, all masked up with a dragon puppet. They went around and handed out giveaways. We had lawn signs that shared with students what our alumni family does. We did a photo contest. Again, you can see in that little heart. One of my favorites is we have a Santa dress up in Cortland gear. So again, just figuring it out. I still believe that no matter what the circumstance is, we can find a way to connect with our Cortland family and show that we're there for them. As John and Jim mentioned, we're very committed to trying to increase diversity on a lot of different levels. Before the pandemic, we hold a Voices of Diversity dinner where we invite alumni from underrepresented communities to share their experiences with our students. We have a panel situation in the beginning, and then we all had meals together, and we made sure there was an alum at every table. It was amazing Dominican food, and everybody gets to kind of share and ask questions of alumni. Again, this year, a little different. I'm going to do a little plug. This Tuesday, everybody can register. If you go to reddragonnetwork.org/SLL for our Speak, Listen, and Learn series. This is folks from our population of color sharing what it was like when they were a student here, some of the experiences they're feeling today. We're going to ask students similar questions. And then our Chief Diversity Officer, Lorraine Lopez Jabon, will be sharing a session on de-escalating situations. We hope to walk away supporting our alumni at that event, as well as taking down some of the things that they said and bringing it back to our board to see if there's programming that we can develop to support folks. Student support, as mentioned before, that's huge for us, alumni sharing their expertise. So on the non-pandemic side, we host speaker series. It's kind of the bottom middle. It's hard to tell, but up front is a bunch of alumni sharing their experiences, typically around a major or a certain profession. So we have done rec, parks, and leisure studies in the past, or phenomenal alums. And you can see kind of what that attendance looks like. The upper left, they're actually at Shea Stadium. We have some alums that work for the Mets. We do a program annually in March where students on their spring break can go into alumni businesses. We've had the Mets, the Jets, Bank of America, L'Oreal, iHeartRadio, just a whole variety of different careers and professions, and students get to spend the whole day. And then we end the night with everybody coming together at a joint networking reception. This year we've transitioned to an online panel. So next week we're offering a session on alumni sharing with our students how their business has pivoted in the pandemic and what that looks like. As Jim mentioned, one of our big committees is our Alumni Awards. We give out 4 annually: Distinguished Educator, Distinguished Alum, Distinguished Young Alum, and Outstanding Volunteer. Usually we present it in a huge room at reunion. Everybody cheers. This year, we did a digital offering during that virtual reunion week, so we try to highlight our winners every day and push that out to alumni. We still hope to celebrate them in person. We're just not sure when that's going to be.
Karen, I just want you to know I'm going to be nominating you because you are just so outstanding.
Yeah, I don't think I'm eligible, but your vote of support means a lot to me, so thank you. And then finally, events in your area. So a lot of folks think that we only do stuff in the Cortland area, which is so not true. We have alums in 50 states, all 50 states, as well as a lot of countries. I always get a little kick when I watch our website demographics come in. Our Japanese folks tend to really pay attention to what we do. So it's kind of nice to think, even across the globe, there's a little bit of Cortland out there and they're paying attention. So on the left side is an event that we did in 2019. We did a West Coast reunion series, and that picture is from Scott Williams, and he's an 80s grad. He is the producer of NCIS. He hosted us in his home. You can see we were all kind of crammed in there. We kind of flowed throughout his whole home and into his backyard. They were given a little update on Cortland. Super nice guy. He's actually mentioned, if you watch NCIS every now and then, you'll hear Cortland dropped, because he writes it into the show. I like to share Rich Coyne, who's one of our gift officers, knows him very well, and he was written in as a dead guy. He's the best looking dead guy I've ever seen. Obviously going into people's homes, not an option this year, so we were trying to get creative of, people, webinars are great, hopefully you learn a lot from them, but we also realized there's kind of a Zoom fatigue, we call it out there, so what else could we do in people's areas? So alum came forward, actually, 2 alums, and they said, why don't we do a virtual 5K? And it was so successful the first time. We raised over $5,000 for the Student Emergency Fund, which helps students in COVID situations, that we decided to make a series. So just recently, we concluded the Red Dragon Run for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. We raised over $2,000, had about 80 participants. I think overall we're pushing 350 folks that have participated. And then we're going to do another one in the spring. And we have fun with it. You can win both by being a fast runner, but we also just do some fun photo contests. So even if you want to walk it, you can still have a chance to win prizes. You can check out, we just announced the winners for that series. One of my favorite pictures is we had an alum that was in Brooklyn, and she walked around with a red dragon and took pictures on the Brooklyn Bridge and the welcome sign. And it was just a lot of fun to see folks out there supporting Cortland. I think that is my piece of it. Any questions? Anything you're interested in learning about? How to, we just keep saying pivot, pivot, pivot. Pivot anything that you do in a pandemic environment? All right, I'll turn it over to John then.
Thanks, Aaron. Thank you, Jim. Certainly, Cortland has a lot of opportunities for their alumni to be engaged, both with campus activities and off-campus activities, and actually amongst themselves. The last part of our session this morning will give you some idea of ways that you can get involved. Aaron, if you want to pop to the next slide, please. This is your biggest resource for getting involved. Keep this in mind. The reddragonnetwork.org is a resource that will give you programs, will give you information about what the board is doing, give you an idea what's going on in campus. If you want to know how the pandemic is impacting the campus, just go to reddragonnetwork.org and you can find out anything you want to find out about campus life at Cortland. So this is on here, big resource. There are many other ones, but this one, please keep in mind. Next slide, please. So actually, one of the many reasons that I encouraged Aaron and Jim to join me and make this a presentation today was the fact that I'm one of those alumni who didn't get involved with the Alumni Association until I was actually retired. And though I came to campus practically every year for the last 50 years and engaged in activities that the Alumni Association provided, for some reason or not, I just didn't see the bigger picture. And hopefully today's presentation will give everyone who's involved maybe a little bigger picture and encourage them to get involved. And there are many ways you can get involved. I'm just going to spend a few minutes giving you some ideas, and you're certainly welcome to ask any questions along the way or in the end. So first of all, obviously you can join the board or join the board committee. Jim and I have been on the board. Jim's going into second year. I'm going into my third year. You don't have to wait till you're in our age or my age group to join the board. Fortunately, we have a lot of younger alumni who have joined the board and actually have taken on leadership roles, both leadership with the board as well as leadership with the various committees we have. And you don't have to become a board member to join a committee. For example, our Parks Alumni House Committee is a huge committee made up of many volunteers that help our chair there, Carl, do many physical things at the Alumni House, which is very helpful to keeping the facility the way we want it. And I didn't see that, Hannah. What was your friendly reminder, please?
All right, it was a friendly reminder that the session is supposed to end in 15 minutes.
Okay.
But we can go a little
It wasn't
over
5
since we have
minutes,
so many
15 I
technical
can handle. Thanks.
difficulties.
You're getting the hook, John.
I thought it was 5 minutes, so I was really going to have to talk quickly, but 15 I can deal with. So consider joining the board. There is a process. You have to apply to be a board member. You have to have support from other alumni. We turn the board over every year, a few members, sometimes more than others. And it is a pretty selective process. So give it some consideration. Early in the calendar year, we start promoting it. And there is an application form you need to fill out. If you're interested and can't find it, obviously check with Aaron, check with myself, or go on the Red Dragon Network. Encourage a student to apply. We've heard all about how the Alumni Association is involved with students joining Cortland, applying for Cortland. In some cases, they may need some financial help, and we can give them some direction there. Other cases, they just may need some help figuring out which direction they're going to go in. But we're there to help them if they need our help. And maybe in your own community, if there's a career day, take the opportunity to go to your high school and set up a table and promote Cortland. And if you need any help, I'm sure Aaron can provide a lot of things to pass out to you, which would be very helpful in recruiting. Attend an event. Now, Aaron has shown you how many different events that we have. Some of them may be in your own neighborhood. Other ones you may have to come to Cortland to, and other ones you may have to go even a greater distance to. But if you haven't come to Cortaca Cup, or if you haven't come to the annual reunion, you're missing a wonderful activity, and it really gives you a chance to engage with some of your alumni, particularly in your own class, as well as a more broader picture. Share your expertise. Cortland loves to have former alumni join their speakers bureau, and they have very good sessions. Right now, we have a lot more than we usually have because of the situation with the pandemic. But also, the board can use your expertise. If you saw those different committees, each one of them requires a little bit of different expertise. Jim and I are on the Finance and Audit Committee, and Jim, of course, has a background in business management. My background's in recreation, but we have people that are on there in sales and banking, in the insurance business. So it's extensive, and to some degree, it creates a little bit of a challenge if you haven't been in those areas of your career areas to utilize everyone's expertise as best as they can. Next slide, please. Grow our alumni network. Well, Jim, I think, told you we have alumni network that's approaching 80,000. The number is much greater than people that are actually involved. If you, again, go to the reddragonnetwork.org and complete a profile, you'll be right in the mainstream of being in the network. It's important that you make sure the college has accurate information on you, and they get ready to encourage you to come to an activity and they don't have your current email address or phone number or mailing address, or even social media information, it's hard for them to give you the information.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Of course. All right, I'll mute myself so they can't hear me.
Okay. Number 6, follow us, like us, share us. There are so many wonderful things that the Alumni Association does, and there's so many wonderful traditions the campus has. And to benefit from them throughout your career is a real positive thing. So there's a lot of information that's out there for you to share. Many communication links. For example, columns always provides information on what is happening in terms of alumni careers. So it's something that you just gives you a positive attitude towards forming relationships with alumni, as well as maintaining a relationship with the campus and making a visit there. The campus has changed so much since I graduated, and so much even since Jim graduated, that it's really great to come back there. And we have sometimes alumni that are new board members that haven't been there for a few years, and they are shocked to see how much the campus has grown and progressed, and the facilities have so much improved since decades earlier. Nominate an alum. Well, encourage an alum to join the board. Also, nominate alum for an award. Now, Aaron told you all about the awards that we have. We have extensive awards, and certainly our alum deserve much recognition because we have many alum that have done incredible things when they've gone into their careers and, have helped people throughout the country in many different areas of expertise. Share good news. Well, columns is a good way of sharing good news. If you got married, if suddenly you become a parent or a grandparent, share that good news. Share the good news if your career advances. We'd love to hear how things are going with our alumni. Sometimes it always isn't good news, but we like to know how we're progressing in our lives with our careers and knowing that Cortland had a long-term impact on our lives. Next slide, please. Volunteer. Well, we have many activities, and though the Alumni Association board, which is Jim indicated is relatively large, they volunteer for many activities, but we need other volunteers to help on committees, help with events. Every time we have an event, it takes dozens of volunteers to make it work, particularly when we have the reunion. Every day there's activities going on, and people are needed to help. And they're also needed to help to recruit alumni to come to activities, which is another area. When we have the reunion, for example, committees are formed, and committees are volunteers who help us recruit alumni from different years to come. You can come to the reunion every year if you're interested, but at least come every 5 years and enjoy the opportunity to re-engage with some of the alumni that you graduated with. Make a donation. Well, Aaron indicated that before. Donation always is helpful to the college. It's always helpful to students. It's even helpful to the Alumni Association because the College Foundation does provide some support to the Alumni Association. But most importantly, it helps students that need help to come to Cortland and be a student at Cortland. There's also some special areas of donations. For example, if you're into recreation, you may want to make a donation to help at Racket Lake. One of the camps up there can always use your donation, or make a donation to help us with the Alumni House. Alumni House is a tremendous asset, but it also requires a lot of funding to keep it maintained because it's a 100-year-old, essentially a mansion. And finally, always have a chance to go out with some of your alumni, have a drink, discuss how your life is going, discuss how your career is going, share information. I know every time I come to the recreation conference at Cortland, and which has been quite often in the last 50 years, I always have a drink or two with some of my colleagues. One of them was on here, I think, before Jack Fast. Jack lives in Long Island. I should mention that Jack and I have had many drinks together, even a few maybe at Racket Lake. But interestingly enough, I lived in the Buffalo area most of my life, and Jack lived on Long Island, so we were many miles apart. We kind of formed a relationship through our profession, but we re-engaged when we came to Cortland a few years ago, and Jack joined me on the Medcap Endowment Board, which is one of the many ways that recreation alumni from many diverse groups engage every year to help the conference and also help alumni, help the students engage in different activities. So there's many ways to get involved. Take the opportunity to get involved. And now, Aaron, Jim, and myself would be happy to answer any questions that you may have before Hannah cuts us off.
I'm hoping there's one, John.
I am too, Jim. And we have Dan on here. Hi, Dan.
Hey, John, I have a question for Jim. I'm down here in Richmond, Virginia, so shout out to the Virginia folks.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you know anyone else around the area, if we can get connected to those folks. I'm starting a new job search soon. I'm in campus recreation right now, been in it for a couple years. I'm a 2015 Cortland Rec alum, so seeing what you think about that, if you know anyone around the area.
Yeah, I know several people around the area. You want to take it offline somehow? The real easy response is the Alumni Association does reach into the DC area, the DMV, if you will. They had an event about short of 2 years ago that I participated in. They do recruit down here in the high schools. But if you're looking to, connect into, just the Dragon network, start with me, and
Sure.
I'd be happy to. I'm on LinkedIn. I'll send my information in the DM. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay. Well, hey Dan, thanks for the question. Yeah, I look forward to connecting with you.
Great. Me too.
By the way, if anyone would like this PowerPoint, ask and we'll be happy to send it. I also see we got Jesse Kruger Middleton on here, who's another member of the MedCap board. And Jess, when she was at Cortland, and I won't say when it was, I was still working at the time, and she actually did an internship with me a few moons ago, not too many moons ago, Jess. So, but
Oh, come on, John. It wasn't that long ago, was it? I spoke to a Cortland class yesterday on a project I've been working on, and I didn't want to admit how long ago I had graduated from college. I think I'm getting old.
John, I for many years did the 50th, 55th, 60th, and 65th reunions here at Cortland. So I don't believe that when anybody says it, because unless you're like 95, you just get started.
Don't rush it.
If alumni are still able to visit Rec at I believe, don't quote me on this, I think they were offline this past semester. However, typically, yes, they always provide alumni weekends. You can go at a discounted rate, and we will always advertise for them. So, I mean, obviously, you can go to their site, or if you go to reddragonnetwork.org under, I think it's Come Back, there's a Racket Lake link that goes to there. So I don't know if any of you know Rhonda Jacob Petoniak, class of 01. She's now the director. She's a rec major. And Deb Flavo is on the other side at Antlers. She's also a grad.
She's also on the MedCap Endowment Board.
Oh.
Hi, Nick and Ken. I've met Ken. You're on the faculty, right, Ken? So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
It looks like we have 1 minute left, so I don't want to.
Any other questions?
Next session, one last question.
Thank you all for joining us. This is something new for us, so if it's a good thing, let us know, and we'll do it again next year.
Check out our website. If you have any questions or want the presentation, shoot us an email at alumni@cortland.edu. Alums would love to see you at any of our virtual program students. We have internships, we have other events. We've had a lot of rec majors actually interning our office because we're so event oriented. But yeah, thanks for joining us bright and early today. It's great seeing you all.
Anna, thanks for
Thank
hosting.
you so much. You guys did great. Yeah, sorry about the technical difficulties at the beginning, but thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us. I really appreciate it.
We're flexible. We're Cortland majors.
Dan,
Have a
would
great
love
day,
it.
everyone. Great conference.
Out there. Awesome.
Thanks, Tim and Aaron.
Thanks for having us, John.
Yep. Have a good day, all. Bye-bye.